Are you not quite happy with the Eldritch Knight?
Well, today we're looking at the viewer submission, the Rune Lord.
Welcome to the Homebrew Crew. I'm Tony, this is Sean, and today we're looking at one of our viewers' submissions to us.
Yes, so this is going to be a fighter subclass called the Rune Lord. Now, obviously there is one that's kind of similar to that we've seen in the past, but this one is focused on training the arcane arts and using runes to enhance their weapons in combat.
Now, this is a really well done class, very balanced with things. In fact, every time I looked at this and thought, oh, that's OP, I saw something that went, okay, well, they brought it back down.
There was a lot of attention to detail as to the different features and making sure that each one was balanced. And you'll kind of see this as you're reading through the actual class itself. But let's go ahead and get into it. So at level 3, you can pick the Rune Lord. And the first thing that you get is essentially kind of the main part of this, which is runic discipline.
Now, these things are really cool. So depending on what you actually do, so if you score a critical hit, if you take the dash action, if you're taking damage from a hostile creature, or if the attack hits, if you have advantage.
Yeah, so there's a lot of different effects that you can have when you're kind of doing these different actions. And it's going to create like a speed rune or a power rune or an endurance rune. And essentially you're going to want to keep onto these runes that'll let you do certain actions later on in the class features.
Now, each of these actions are amazing. Like, each one is well balanced. We're just going to go over a couple of them here. We won't necessarily pop them up on the screen, but there's some really awesome things you can do.
Yeah, so like, for example, like just like Draw of the Serpent. So this one you would use a skill rune and a speed rune to target a friendly creature, and then they can basically use their reaction to attack. And it's kind of neat, you can actually pick to do a D10 to the damage roll or a D6 to the attack roll. And a lot of these features will implement the use of a power rune to amplify that effect. So for example, you can use a power rune to have them pick both.
Right, and the power runes, again, are not something you're going to get all the time with it, just based on what you need to do in order to get them. Now, the cool thing about this class is that you're not only able to spend one rune and do something, you actually can combine runes to do different effects, and there is a lot of them.
Yeah, exactly. Another good example is one over here, Mystical Jaunt. So that's a bonus action. You actually spend one speed rune to teleport 30 feet away to an unoccupied space. And again, going to that same feature, you can use a power rune to make all effects have disadvantage until the start of your next turn.
So essentially you run up to something, you use all your movement and whatever to get up there, and you hit them, and then you can use your bonus action to pop 30 feet away.
Yeah, exactly. So that's another cool one. And this last one that we'll go over is really neat. So this one's called Thirstful Edge. So when you make a melee weapon attack, you can expend one skill rune and one endurance rune to add a d4 of psychic damage and recover that same amount of damage as well. It kind of specifies that you can't do it to like, certain oozes and plants. But it's really cool that, there's a lot of different ways that you can kind of play this character. You can be, DPS, you can be defensive, you can be speedy, you can be supportive. There's lots of different ways that you can combine the runes.
And the thing that I really like about this is that you actually have to perform a different type of action in order to get those runes, in order to spend them.
Yeah, it makes you kind of think about what you're actually going to do in combat, because you'll be in the middle of combat like, okay, I have to kind of run fast here in order to get that speed rune. Or like, oh, I have to make sure I can shove him. That way I have advantage, but I forgo it. That way I can get that other rune. So like, it makes you really think about what you're doing while you're fighting.
Right. Now, also a third level with it, you get Student of the Arcane. We didn't put a little card up for this one, but it's a really great thing with that. Basically, your proficiency bonus is doubled for any Arcana checks that you make involving runes.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, exactly. So
and you're proficient in Arcana.
Yeah, exactly. And if you're going to be an intelligence-based class, it might be pretty high. So,
well, there are some great things on here too. Now, at 7th level, I believe, you get Scribe Rune.
Yeah, so this essentially lets you cast Glyph of Warding once without expending a spell slot or material components. And then you just can't do it again until a long rest. And Glyph of Warding is a really cool spell. Essentially, it's kind of like placing like on a wall or on the floor, and you can have like an explosive magical effect, or you can put a spell in there. And it makes sense because, you're a Rune Lord. So being able to be just like magically write things in the wall kind of really fits with this class.
I like things like Prestidigitation for that.
Yeah.
You know, someone walks in, they walk over the seal, and all of a sudden their clothes get cleaned.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly. Like, magical tide.
That's right. But it is a really awesome thing.
Yeah,
It fits so well with this class.
It does. It does.
It's something that really works well. And then at 10th level, you get mystical inscriptions.
Yeah, I really like this one because it kind of encourages you to be aggressive as you should be as a fighter. Essentially, when a hostile creature is dropped to 0 hit points, you can use your reaction to create a rune of your choice. It doesn't let you exceed the maximum of that rune limit. But I kind of like this because you're kind of tempted to kind of go in there and like start killing stuff. That way you're like, oh, I can get a rune if I like finish this guy off or something.
Right, exactly. And you need those power runes. I'll tell you.
You do.
Using those up is a great way to do this. There is more though. You get enchanted etchings.
Yeah, so 15th level, your attacks are now magical. And whenever you finish a long rest, you can transcribe runes onto a weapon to make it a +1 magical weapon until the start of your next long rest. Or as a bonus action, you can increase to a +3, but it ends at the start of your next turn.
Right, so you get that instant boost of power with things, but then at the end of that turn, no so much power. It goes
and it's not too bad at 15th level. You know, having a +1 weapon or even a +3 temporarily is nothing too crazy. It's just kind of like a nice little temporary buff that you can kind of use like randomly. So it's pretty nice.
Totally. Now, the last one you get here is magical prowess.
Yeah, pretty simple. So when you use your action search feature, you can actually create 2 runes like on the spot, which is actually really cool, especially if you really need like that dire power rune or something and you want to really amplify that attack. You know, action search is already like a great feature. Having runes on top of that makes it an even better feature. And by 18th level, you know, you're kind of doing a lot of action searches at that point anyways.
Totally. Once again, this one can be found on D&D Beyond. It's the Rune Lord by Rennicus. This is definitely one that you guys should definitely check out. We get a lot of submissions and sometimes it's hard to sift through everything, but truth be told, this one definitely popped out for us.
Yeah, so you can actually submit things to us if you send us an email or if you hop on the Discord. But we do encourage you to subscribe to us as well because, you know, we do get a lot of different submissions. And if you do want to stay caught up with all the things that we're uploading and all that, be sure to hit the notification bell down there as well. That way you can get notifications when we do uploads like this, reviews on classes, items, monsters, all sorts of homebrew stuff.
And we would like to extend a very special thanks out to our Patreons out there. You guys are the ones who are supporting us with this. I know it's difficult at times, and I know we're posting a lot of cool stuff. We just recently posted stuff on the new Puka race that's coming out in March from us. And there's going to be some more behind the scenes stuff there. So if you'd like to become a Patreon, the link will be in the description below as well. And remember, the best campaigns are always the ones that are homebrewed. So until next time,
keep brewing.